We're going to show how Business by Design handles service-related issues. First, we'll create a service request for a problem that we're having. Then we'll assign that service request to an employee to look into. Once it's been determined that that cannot be fixed remotely, a service order will be created, and the service order will identify that we need a replacement part and also that we need an installer on site. From the service order, we will create a purchase order to purchase a replacement part and have it shipped to the customer site. And we will create a purchase order to contract with a contract employee to go out to the customer site to install the replacement part. Then we will record the fact that the part had been received by the customer and that the contract installer had done the work. We will also record how much time he spent on site. We will also record the serial number for the part that was received out there. Thank you. We have a problem with a piece of equipment at our customer site. It's been identified that a router that's on location there is not operating properly. So what we're going to do is to create a service request. The service request will then go into our queue, and the service people can take a look at what's open and act on it.
We will now create a new service request. We identify the customer and the product that needs service.
We can look at all the products this customer has by serial number and identify the one we are interested in.
We describe what the problem is and then save our newly created service request.
Once the service request is created and saved, it is given a status. Open service requests now go into the queue, where they can be picked up and worked on by available services personnel. Or a coordinator can assign the request to a specific person. We can sort the service requests down to view only what we are interested in.
I can look at just the service requests I am working on. I can look at the queue of open service requests that are assigned to my team, and select one to work on.
The user will take over the service request.
She will change the service request status to "in process."
We have worked on the issue and determined that the part needs to be replaced. An on-site service technician needs to be scheduled.
We will now take our service request, and from it we will create a follow-up service order.
We'll enter a description of what has happened on our service order and identify any replacement or other parts that are needed.
We need a replacement router. We will order it here on the service order.
We will capture reasons for the service order. This will feed into the online analytics.
We can identify the person who is going to perform the work. It can be a contractor or an employee.
If it's a contractor, we can identify the supplier and what date and time we need him to be there.
Once we are ready, we release the service order.
Once the service order was released, we used workflow to send a task to our purchasing agent or coordinator. He will look at his open task list to see that purchase orders are needed.
The purchasing agent will now create purchase orders for the contractor and the replacement part. We can click on the service order and drill down into its details.
Our purchasing agent will get details on what items to purchase from this service order. The purchasing agent will now create a new purchase order to acquire the replacement part, and have it shipped to the customer site. The router is going to be delivered to our customer. We will flag that here, on our purchase order.
You can link the purchased item to GL account, cost center, customer contract, fixed assets, project tasks, sales order, or service order.
We identify the part and the customer the replacement part is to be shipped to.
The shipment will be sent to our customer's address. On many screens in Business by Design, SAP has provided a check button. This is a feature which will check your document for errors, such as setup errors that may affect the processing of the document, or required fields that were not completed.
When we click on Order, the purchase order is automatically sent to the vendor via email, fax, or any of a variety of other methods that are available. We will now create a new purchase order for our contractor, who will go to the customer and install the new equipment. We identify the contract company, the fact that we are purchasing a service delivered to a third party, specific service we are buying, the number of hours, and the specific contractor we want for the job. Tie the purchase order to the service order. We identify the customer and the address the work will be done at.
We save the PO and place the order. The PO will automatically be sent via email to the vendor.
The Work Center, Goods and Services Receipts, is where we record the delivery of the replacement part and services to our customer's site.
Once we get a confirmation that the replacement part has been received at the customer, we go to Goods and Services Receipts and select our purchase order.
Once we've selected the purchase order, we click on New Goods and Services Receipt.
We identify the items that were received at the customer site. We run our check to make sure we have no errors. Then we post the transaction.
Once our contract technician has completed the work, we go into the Goods and Services Receipts Work Center to identify that the services have been completed. We now record a new Goods and Services Receipt against the selected purchase order.
We can record the actual time it took for the technician to complete the work. He can be paid based on actual time, or based on a fixed amount.
We will now record the serial number of the replacement router in our Service Entitlements Work Center. Registered Product ID is our serial number. We identify the customer and the product being registered. identify the warranty period from a list of warranties we have established. Now let's look at the registered products for this customer.
We now see all the registered products that this customer has.
Okay, what we've looked at so far is we've had an issue which caused us to go out and create a service request. Once we created the service request, which identified the particular serial number of the part that we had a problem with, and when we released that service request, it then went into a queue that the service personnel could pick up the service requests that were open and assign it to themselves. The service personnel could then evaluate whether they can fix the problem. If not, they can then go and create a service order. The service order will identify the replacement part that is needed out at the customer site, and will also identify that they need to have a contract service technician go out to install the part. From the information on the service order, a task is sent to the purchasing person, who then can create a purchase order to purchase the replacement part, as well as a purchase order to negotiate for the contract person to go out there. And these purchase orders are sent automatically via email to the vendors. Once the work is done, the replacement part received, we can record within the system that that replacement part and its serial number have been received, and we can record that the vendor's contract employee did the work. We can record the actual hours that were worked. We can pay versus those actual hours, or we can pay instead based on a contractual agreement that we already have in place for them. We then record the serial numbers for the material, that the replacement part that was received, and then we take a look at all of the different items that are out there on site at that customer and that are being tracked by serial number. Thank you.